Hi, everyone. I'm just bopping my head to my dad's music. That I do miss. I definitely do. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this very hot Friday, June 30th. It's the last day of the month. Well, I'm in Tennessee, and in Tennessee, summer has taken a while to arrive, but it is here today. So I'm very hot, and my hair is not behaving, so it's just wild. You see, this is Kim Clement hair right here. A big mess. So I just put it in a ponytail. I have got such an exciting lineup today. We've got Amanda Grace is going to join us for a little bit, and we're going to chat with her. She's actually on standby, so we're going to bring her in. And then I've got something to play for you later on after we're done with Amanda. And we'll see how time does. I did gather a few things together to share with you today, though. So before we bring Amanda, let's look at our scripture verse for the week. I started this last week. So this week, it's Ecclesiastes 3, verse 11, just the beginning part of it, because I couldn't write the whole verse. I would have run out of space on my whiteboard. But the most important part, he has made everything beautiful in its time. So that's a very deep, deep scripture verse. So let's keep that on our hearts as we go, because that means you too. He's made you beautiful in your time. This is your time. Okay, so are we ready to bring Amanda? Come on, Amanda. Amanda Grace is here with me today. If you don't know who Amanda Grace is, she is an amazing prophetic voice and become a dear, dear friend of mine. And she has Ark of Grace Ministries, and you can see it at the bottom of the screen right now. And we share a love for animals, which is one of the things that bonded us, that and the prophetic, because she is a prophet, my dad was a prophet. And so, there's sort of a lot of things, and God, I believe, set this up. So, welcome, Amanda Grace. Thanks for joining me. How are you today,
Hello,
my
my
friend?
beautiful friend.
Doing good. And she's wearing the purple mantle that I uh, put on her, and that was my dad's. And I put it on her in Nashville, Tennessee at the Reawaken America tour. And that was just an awesome day. And I've never done that before, but I really felt God telling me to do that. So I did. And she's wearing it today. So that's great.
I
Okay,
cherish it.
Amanda. Now,
Just so you know, I cherish this. This is very
yes, I
important
know
to me.
you do. And I've seen
Yes,
you
thank you.
wearing it, and it really means a lot. And God told me when I put that on Amanda, everybody, God told me royalty. That's why the purple. And so, and Amanda is very precious to God and to all of us. So we're so glad you're with us.
Thank you.
Um, so Amanda joined us for a Conversations, which will air tomorrow at the House of Destiny
Mhm.
Network. If you don't watch us there, you can. So we have an app, House of Destiny. Download that. If you don't have it, it's just a mirror of the website. You can go to houseofdestiny.org or kimclement.com, and you will be able to watch the conversation we had with Amanda. But I did want to let everybody have a little chat with her today. Um, so the one thing I wanted to talk to you about, Amanda,
Yes.
is what happened last weekend. You would have, I think you were back, or maybe you weren't. No, you were back from Israel. Now, Amanda's just been in Israel.
I got back not this past Tuesday, the Tuesday prior. Yeah.
So you were here. So did you see Pergozin marching on the Kremlin last Saturday? Did you see that?
Oh, you mean the mercenaries? Is this what you're
Yes.
talking about? Yes.
What a wild 24 hours. I don't know, everybody, I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. Like for 24 hours, Mom and I were on the phone and we were like, oh my goodness. Because the reality dawned on us that if he were to go in there and like, I don't think he was going to take out Putin. I think he's his friend. But if he was going to go in there and take over, you would have a mercenary in charge of all of those nuclear weapons. So Mom and I were a little bit stressed out. Ooh. And, we were watching that very closely. Also because my dad prophesied about Putin that he would die by the sword in his own land. This is many
Mhm.
years ago. He prophesied that back in 2009. And so, and that it would take a servant's broom to sweep up all the webs he'd woven. Now, this is a very old prophecy now. Long before Ukraine, this is, I think, 2009. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, April 4th, 2009 is when he saw that. So mom and I were like, "Oh my goodness, is this guy Prigozhin going to be this?" Because we don't like him. Like, I don't know who that guy is. A lot of
Nobody
people were
knows who this guy
celebrating
is.
him. Say again.
I said, nobody knows who this guy is or what he's done or what he's into.
I know, and he's a mercenary, which means he's paid. And here's the thing, Amanda and
Exactly.
everybody.
Hmm.
Did anyone else notice that the Pentagon lost $6.5 billion like the day before? Oh, we lost $6.5 billion. Yeah, they did.
Oh,
Now, you had been traveling, so I didn't know if you knew that. And I didn't know if anyone else did, but I did. So you can look it up. The Pentagon on Friday, they announced, oh, we accidentally sent an additional $6.5 billion to Ukraine on accident. And then the next day, this mercenary, okay, so a mercenary is paid to, they're not part of the Russian military. And from what I understand, Prigozhin was uh, in a bit of a spat with the Russian military leader. So he didn't have beef really with Putin that I know of very much. He was more frustrated with the official Russian military. So he's a mercenary. He fights with them in Ukraine. And so he will do whatever he's paid to do, basically. But at first, it kind of looked to me like, did they try to do like the CIA? People were saying the CIA, the MI6, and Mossad had, paid him that money that went missing. And then he went to take the Kremlin and pretended to be taking it when he got there, handed the money to them. I don't know if that's true, but that was one of the rumors. But it was a wild Saturday, and it made me realize the threat of nuclear war if the wrong it's like Putin's the devil. We know, at least we know him. How many decades of Putin, we know what he's going to do. But
exactly.
someone else that we don't know anything about, and they've got all those nuclear weapons and things are so tense, it was a bit nerve-wracking, and I was very relieved actually when he didn't do anything, because I didn't want to see, look, I don't want to see anybody suffering, not anyone in Ukraine or in Russia or anywhere in the world. And so I really didn't want. I was a little nervous. I was definitely. So I kind of wanted to see if you knew anything about that, Amanda, or what your thoughts were if you had noticed, because that's something we were just tense about last weekend.
Well, I'll tell you, interestingly enough, that this was last year. I believe this word was given. I'll double check, but I think it was last year, where the Lord had called both Putin and Zelensky. He called them two Sauls, doing a little bit of right mixed with a whole lot of wrong. And the interesting part is Saul died by his own sword.
Oh,
So
that is interesting.
very
Two
interesting, right?
souls.
Two
That's
Sauls. Little bit of right mixed with a whole lot of wrong. And so I remember that was last year. That was like right towards the beginning of all of this, that word came out. And so, the interesting part is you have many other nations coming into this that have a big stake in what happens.
Yes.
This part of the world. Now, while this whole skirmish with Russia and Ukraine is going on and all of this noise, you've got the U.S. administration trying to sneak under the radar and do a deal with Iran and slide
Right.
this in.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And that, when I look at that, and I've heard Israeli generals talk to us about this too, that all 200,000 rockets pointed at Israel under the umbrella of nuclear capabilities is a very bleak picture for Israel. So you've got quite a few pieces right now moving around. It's like a game of Risk, and it's kind of like they're moving around trying to race to get these capabilities in the hands of sociopaths that really shouldn't have them.
Yes. Yes. Iran is kind of a given. We all understand
Mm-hmm.
about Iran.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, and that is, I had forgotten that. That was what was going on too. And then in
Mm-hmm.
the middle of all of this, you have the Hunter Biden revelations, which are so shocking. The text messages. I mean, look, you have to be an idiot if you're believing the media about anything right now, or the FBI, or the DOJ, or basically anyone in charge. So couple that with all the stuff we're seeing going on with Iran, with Russia, Ukraine, mercenaries marching on the Kremlin, and the Pentagon losing money. I mean, it's, because, right before 9/11, they did the same thing. They lost a bunch of money like the day before.
Oh,
Oh,
how
we lost
convenient.
so many $1 trillion. And then 9/11 happened. So I don't know, I don't know any more than that. So I don't want to make it, any flippant sort of conspiracy theory uh, decisions about the information. But at the same time, it is a very tense time because now we're looking at France, and you look at they've been protesting over there for days and days. For months, they've been protesting, which is something my dad prophesied about. And so then, on top of all that, we got World Economic Forum, one world government people up to their nonsense.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
They are always up to nonsense. Oh my goodness. They're just swimming in it.
they are. And it's just, for me, sometimes I guess I feel like it's all culminating into one, especially when you look at like what the Bible says will happen. I look at what my dad's prophesied. I look at what's going on around me. And it does, like I said last Saturday, it got like, I got scared. And I'm not a fearful person, but I got a little bit scared. I thought, my goodness, are we going to have nuclear war? Because nobody really wants that. And even with Putin, I think he threatens a lot of the time because it frightens everybody. But he also, he doesn't really want that either.
No,
So, I mean, I
no.
don't know about Ukraine. Maybe he wants it but if he knows if he starts that it could, and I think that's something me and mom were looking at too. It was two things. It was like, well, there's a potential for something really bad to happen here. And again, we're not fearful people. I mean, I know what God's promised, but
Yes.
it's just, along the way, I guess over the last, especially decade, things have moved very quickly. And so sometimes I get a little bit overwhelmed by that. I know other people must be as well, getting a bit overwhelmed. I'm looking at comments here just in case someone asks a question. If
Oh,
anybody
well,
has a question,
I
feel
have an
free to ask.
interesting little excerpt here, Donna, you may want to hear. It was from a prophetic word from September 13th, 2022, that I had delivered from the Lord. And it says, I, the Lord, am sweeping my justice, that's capitalized, through the Department of Justice. So that is coming. And you shall see an emergency at the Pentagon, as their plans for an even greater terror to the American people and those speaking truth fall short, and the Pentagon is shifting, says the Lord of hosts. That was September 13th, 2022. There's much more in here. I'm just reading an excerpt.
Wow, Amanda, because there's the Pentagon. We see what's happening there, as well as the you've seen what's going on with the protests in Europe, in France. My dad actually prophesied about the Fourth Reich.
Yes.
And I'm going to play after we're done. After you're done, I'm going to play it. It's kind of long,
Okay.
so I'm not going to play it now. But I'm going to play what I have on that. And he saw that there would be a short war, and he said it would be a real war. And he saw other nations in Europe, along with the UK and France, rising up against the Fourth Reich. And he actually talks about the Fourth Reich. So
Interesting.
we know now when he prophesied this, we didn't know, but we know now that the World Economic Forum and the globalist agenda is the rise of that Fourth Reich. I mean, it's all intertwined with Nazism, like true Nazism, not what the liberals shout about here on this end, but actual real. And I went to Birkenau, to Auschwitz in Poland in 2012. And on the way, when we were in the car on the way driving there, because we had to drive from Warsaw to the concentration camp, all along the way, there were swastikas graffitied all over the place. My husband was taking pictures of them,
Wow.
like, what is this? And
That
that,
a
say that
horror.
again, I couldn't hear you.
I said that's a horror to see.
Well, it was puzzling to us because we're on our way to this concentration camp where there's a museum remembering what happened in that place. And that was a whole other story. That was a very intense thing that happened. And then to see the swastikas was very puzzling. We also saw a communist city, which was completely encased in glass. The whole little town, it was like a few blocks, and it was all with glass around it. And we said, "What is that?" And they said, "Oh, that's the communist town." And it was so strange because it was all encased in glass. And this is in Warsaw, in Poland. So there
Okay.
were some, I wasn't paying attention and I didn't know enough at that time for it to make sense to me. But it's beginning to make a lot more sense when you start to look at the players and the people who are prominent right now and who their connections are. Even Prigozhin, who is the mercenary group is called Wagner. Anybody
Which
who
is
says Wagner, I'm going to lose my.
which is Chris's last name.
Is it? No.
Yes.
Well, the Wagner, I'm not going to
Oh
say
my
Wagner
God.
because it's pretentious. It's Wagner. But
Yep.
the Wagner mercenary group, they were actually, their roots go back to a Nazi founder. So there was a
I'm sure
Nazi
it does.
who founded them, which is
Mhm.
strange because Prigozhin is actually Jewish. So you have this sort of, this emergence of Jewish people going along with what we're perceiving to be some kind. It's Nazi, but not the way it was. It's
Yeah.
different. It's strange. I don't like any of it. That's for sure. I don't like any of it because I'm recognizing it. Once this is what I tell people: once you see it, you can't unsee it.
That's
So once
that's
you,
exactly it.
it gets, it's like I can't believe now. Now when I look at the news, it's like I recognize immediately. Oh, nonsense. Whereas before I wouldn't have. And I'm
Mhm.
still learning. I mean, there's lots of times there's fake things on Twitter and stuff, and my husband will say, um, "No, Donna, that's not true, or that's not real." That's he still has to help me with those kind of things. But in general, I I can't unsee it. So now, now I'm looking at, okay, they put Zelensky into Ukraine, then Trump called Zelensky when he got elected, and everyone freaked out, and they impeached him twice. So it's like these people are so obvious. Um, and I don't know if you've seen what was going on with. Did you read the Hunter Biden text or WhatsApp messages? Did you hear about that?
No, no, what happened?
So in these WhatsApp messages, Hunter is like threatening this Chinese guy, CCP. I don't know who he was, some chairman, but not chairman, not the chairman, a
Mhm.
chairman of something. But he was shouting at him about money and that they needed to. The Bidens delivered, and they needed to take care of their end of the bargain. And then the next day, like $9 million was transferred to Hunter Biden, and they had all these shell companies, and there's like so much evidence now. And then you see what happened in the news during the time that this is all coming out about Hunter Biden and all this evidence.
Uh-huh.
You had the submersible that imploded.
Oh,
It doesn't
that
ex
was like,
the
oh my,
submersible that happened while you were gone.
that blew my mind because I had remembered last year, like I started hearing things like Red October, Crimson Tide, everything to
Oh,
do with submarines. And
right, you
I'm
did. I remember this.
yes, and so I'm going, are we coming into this time where something's going to happen and then a greater sub crisis is going to happen from this? And I saw this and the way it happened, and I went, look at the timing.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the timing of this happening in the middle of all of this, and it implodes from within. That right there is prophetic. It was horrific, but that is prophetic. Imploding from within. Remember that sentence.
We're going to remember that today, imploding from within. And
Mm-hmm.
also, apparently, the Navy and the White House knew that it had imploded on Sunday, but they waited until Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. So they waited 3 days. The Navy heard it, saw that it exploded. The White House knew, and they let everyone search, and they let everyone believe there was hope.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the Wednesday, when all the testimony was coming out about Hunter Biden, is when they said, "Oh, we found it. We found a ring of debris in the water, and they've imploded." What's his name? James Cameron, who did the Titanic. He was
Yes.
talking about. He said he knew right away that it was what had happened. He had emailed people. He said, "I can tell if they lost their communication, if they lost this, that, and the next thing, they've probably imploded." And
I
that.
have a question.
Oh, what is the question?
Amanda,
Yeah.
Oh, we want to know about. Someone is asking about your dream about RFK Jr. Oh, I'm so glad. That's such a good question because I've been going about RFK Jr. on about him for a while. My dad had prophesied something about the Kennedys. It wasn't quite fitting to me, but there's
Okay.
something about RFK. I don't think he's going to be president, but there's a place for him. I feel like. I hope, and I do really like that he's a Democrat speaking out. So anyway, what happened with the dream? You had a dream.
It was April 9th, 2022 that I had this dream, and it took place in Martha's Vineyard. And Carolyn Bessette Kennedy was there, and she looked like she might have looked a little older. She had hair to her shoulders. She was in the back of this crowd, and this crowd cleared, and they had this red, elaborate, and they called it a Christmas chair, and they were stirring about putting somebody in this seat, and the person was related to the Carolyn Bessette Kennedy in one way or another. And so this was the dream, and it was April 9th, 2022, that I had this dream. And we see that it was either the day before or the day after the indictment, the first indictment of Trump, he filed his papers to run for president. And then at the beginning of Passover, declared his run for president.
Right.
Which I found interesting also. So this is, but that was the gist of the dream. She was there. It had something to do with her, what went down at Martha's Vineyard and what was trying to rise up out of Martha's Vineyard.
That's really interesting, Amanda.
Yeah. And that was April 9th, 2022.
April 9th is my husband's birthday.
Oh, I love your husband.
I know. I love him too. But that's actually, that's the first thing I thought is a lot of stuff happens on his birthday. He's got a memorable birthday for some reason. There's all kinds of things like the revival at Bonnie Bray happened on April 9th. A couple of things have happened April 9th. So that's interesting too. But yes, I actually watched Jim Brewer interview RFK Jr. last night before I went to bed. I watched that interview that he did with him, which was really good. And I could see Jim Brewer's so funny. I could see he was sort of trying to kind of nudge him in the direction of, look, you can't be president, but you could join our team. We
Well,
welcome
wouldn't
you.
that be an interesting? Do you remember now? I don't know why this is coming to my mind now, but it was called The West Wing, this show that was on way back.
Yes, I remember.
Okay. Do you remember towards the show finale, you had a Republican presidential candidate join forces with a Democrat for president and vice president? It was something along those lines at the end of the entire series that occurred.
See, I think something like that, I think people want that because we don't want to be enemies. And what happens is, you see the other side and they see us and we're so angry with each other and we have been sort of blocked from even being able to, they don't want us talking. They don't want us to be friends. They have tried so hard to push civil war in this country and it isn't happening because people don't want it. Americans don't want that. We're actually refusing. So I think like a Trump with like an RFK Jr., even though the far left is rejecting RFK Jr., the same sort of middle of the ground people are going to hear him.
Yes.
Because I've been paying attention to him for a few years as far as what he had to say about vaccines and vaccine injury. I was very interested. And so I would listen to him from time to time. But I never really felt anything more. It just was interesting. And it's, he's Bobby Kennedy's son and the Kennedys. So I'd listen to him. But there's something about, and this is going back to what my dad prophesied. He prophesied about an Irishman in the White House. And he said what was meant to happen in the 60s that was stunted will begin again or happen again, and it'll start in the teens of the 2000s. And he said specifically 2015, 2016, which it began. He said it would begin then. And he was seeing this Kennedy connection within the prophecy. He said, you'll say it's Kennedy reincarnated, but I laugh at your psychics. Now, that's an interesting thing he would say. I don't quite understand it all together, like
Yeah.
all the way. But,
Okay.
that part of the prophecy, but that will happen with time. It always does. Like, you just have to be
Mhm.
patient. But there's something. And then a few months ago, before Robert Kennedy Jr. hit the headlines, I heard him say something and it just got me. And I was like, Robert Kennedy Jr., the CIA killed, it was that. He was talking about how the CIA killed his dad and all those classified papers came out. And there's
Mhm.
something about God's vengeance. Because John F. Kennedy, JFK, like a week before he was assassinated, was butting heads a lot with the CIA. They tried to trick him into something that was going on in Cuba. They were going to try to take out Castro. He didn't want any part of it. And he kind of put his foot down. And within a week, they had assassinated him. And so there is sort of this feeling, I think, in the heart of Americans, because even though the classified information has only recently been released, uh, how many decades now have people speculated on what really happened there? And it's been a huge, big part of Americans, because that was brutal. They shot him in the head in the middle of the street, in the middle of the road, like in the open for everyone to see. And that
Yes.
was, and I believe that ever since then, uh, they have had a hold on the American government. And it's not ever been the same. And I think that that has to be reconciled. So when I think of Robert Kennedy Jr., I said Robert Kennedy, didn't I? I meant JFK. Sorry, my brain. It's all the letters. It's too many letters. I meant JFK was assassinated. Bobby Kennedy was assassinated too. Of course, we know that.
Yes.
But I was talking about JFK on the road, and then also his father. His father.
Yeah.
So I feel like if he could be the head of the CIA, can they do that? Does it work like that? I'm sure
Oh, well,
Trump, if
that
he becomes
that would
president, he
be
couldn't make it.
justice served if he becomes the head of the
That's
CIA.
what
You
I
know
would
what I
like to
mean?
see. I want him to take over the CIA and do whatever his dad and his uncle were saying they were going to do. Do it. Get rid of these agencies that have taken control. That's really what's going on here. Is you have bureaucrats and intelligence agencies who have all this information, which gives them a lot of power, and they've sort of taken over. So I don't know, but yeah, I know. So I'm gonna let. Oh, you've got to go. All right, Amanda, we're gonna let you go. But thank you for joining us today, and thanks for sharing that about the two Sauls. That's really good. I'm gonna remember that.
Thank you.
The
Thank you for
two Sauls.
having
You
me.
are just the best. Thank you, my friend, for
I love you.
joining me. And give
Thank
my
you.
love to Chris.
I
All of
will.
us say hi to Chris. That's her husband,
I
Chris. If you don't know,
I
we love
will. I
Chris.
will.
And
Thank
thanks
you.
for joining me, Amanda. And everybody, we have an interview with Amanda Grace that's going to go up tomorrow. We filmed it a couple days ago. And she told us all about her Israel trip. That's why I didn't talk about it at all on this, because I want you to watch the interview. It's better. So,
Yes.
everybody watching, go to houseofdestiny.tv or kimclement.com, and you can see my interview with Amanda, which will go up tomorrow, actually midnight tonight. It will be available. And if you want to find out more about Amanda, go to arkofgrace.org,
Thank you, my friend.
and you'll see the wonderful things that God is doing through her, my beautiful friend.
Praise the
And
Lord. Thank
thank you
you.
again for joining us, Amanda.
Thank you. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom. Okay, so wasn't that cool? Oh, she's just the best. That's my friend. Let's see what our comments are saying. Yes, my dad did prophesy a new party, and this is why I'm looking at this stuff like this, because I'm thinking, okay, who are the people that dad saw? He saw an Irishman in the White House, which also could be General Flynn. He's Irish. People were saying Trump was Irish. He's not. He's Scottish. I am also Scottish. But we have Trump. We have Flynn. And we know Trump is putting Flynn in. Now, when I first heard Trump, I don't know if you guys saw the speech where he says to Flynn, stay healthy because we've got the, basically saying he's going to put him in the administration if he wins the election. So I didn't realize it. I guess I'm just not very bright because I didn't realize at first that's what he was saying. And I thought something was wrong with General Flynn. And I'm going, stay healthy. Why? Is he threatening him? I didn't know. So I just was, I looked like it froze for a second. Anyway, so I hear Trump say, Flynn, stay healthy. And I started worrying about General Flynn. I'm like, are you okay, General Flynn? He's fine. I just didn't get it. But anyway, so Flynn's in there somewhere. And I'm not sure where. Some people were saying FBI, head of the FBI. And I think this is just my humble opinion. And I don't agree with RFK Jr. on many things. However, I think that when we're talking about a new party, we're talking about something that's going to work for everyone in this climate. So we have to be, as Solomon said, wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. So let us look at this. Who would we like to be in the next administration? If we could choose, what are the positions and who would it be? That's what I'm doing. I'm kind of having a little look here. David has deep Scottish roots. You know that I do. On my mother's side, through her father, my grandfather Roger, uh, and it was via his mother because she was a Fraser, and we were from Clan. We are of Clan Fraser, and they fought in the battle at Culloden Moor. And the head of the clan, I've forgotten his name now. I used to know this information, forgotten his name, but he was the head of the Clan Fraser and a relative of mine. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the phrase laughing your head off. So, after the Jacobite revolt against the British in Scotland, which was this mid 1700s, there was a rebellion, there was a battle. If you've ever watched Outlander, you'll know what I'm talking about. My family actually has a stone there, a memorial stone in Culloden Moor, where they have all the memorial stones, and it's Clan Fraser through mom's side. So, when I was telling them something else, so what was it about this? Oh, the head of the clan. So, the guy who was the head of Clan Fraser, they executed him after the battle because it was for what all the reasons, and they beheaded him. And so what happened was people would come and witness executions, and there were people sitting on benches in front of him, of where he was being executed, and they lay him on the table, and they, chopped his head off. And as the executioner brought the axe down on his head, he's laying on the side, he was looking out into the crowd, and the bench in the front row broke, and all the people went tumbling off the bench. And he burst out laughing. I guess it looked funny. He burst out laughing as the axe came down and chopped his head off. And so that's where the saying, laughing your head off, comes from. And that's my relative. So, anyway, talking about Scottish roots, those are mine. I'm seeing somebody's talking about a dream about a Trojan horse. That's interesting with Kennedy. Just reading comments here, making sure I'm staying. Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake, look, I am not going to name the Esther. this has become, many of you probably don't know this, but I've actually been avoiding the Esther prophecy unless absolutely necessary, because over the years I have jumped the gun and tried to say I figured out this prophecy, and I had not. I was wrong. And so I don't want to, and it's not just with that, with all of them, I don't like to just jump ahead, because especially if there's things you're not certain about, it's best to just wait. Because my dad was not just seeing immediate. He was seeing very, very far. God really revealed for a New Testament prophet very, very far into the future some of these things. And we've had a very unexpected journey since Trump came down the escalator. The whole world changed. And I think it wasn't that it changed, it was that we realized what was going on. Just like my dad said, when he prophesied about the scales, he prophesying about a new party. He said, saw scales removed from eyes. Now, scales indicates to me layers, scales, not just, oh, you see, it will slowly be revealed. And that's what we've been through. I mean, it's been revealed to us, and I don't know how bad things are. People say, this person and this person and this person did these things, as far as adrenochrome and things. Look, I don't know enough, and I don't want to slander or say people's names, and then what if they're innocent? What if it's so? But I think things were so bad that it had to sort of slowly be revealed to us for us to be able to have all of that dumped on us at once. We wouldn't even have listened to it. It would have been too far out there, too much conspiracy. So God actually does have a plan here, and it's not just about the presidency, although that's a big part of things. What God was revealing through my dad about what the people would do, because really, Trump is just the person that's there as the representative. And at this stage, we have been betrayed so much. And the only person, whether you like him or not, who has been right this whole time has been Donald Trump. And there's also sort of a vindication there. The way you feel with RFK Jr., you feel the same way about Trump, that he was, terribly wronged. And, that election was stolen from him. And there's sort of this need to make it right. And it's more than just, again, about Trump. It's about the integrity of the elections and what America stands for. Because if that is not true, then what is America and what does it mean to be an American? And so these are very deep things that we're facing. And one thing that's good is, as we code break, because this is code breaking, we're going looking at prophecies and all this. As we go through this, we see hope, because my dad saw reconciliation. He saw restoration for America. Restoration, reconciliation. Those are important words to remember, because I think that this is where we go back to God's vengeance and God's plan. My dad said the plan is so brilliant it could only have come from me. My dad prophesied that in 2014. The whole cue and the plan and the whole story that came out there happened later. And there was this talk of this plan. And it was almost like God was rebutting it, saying, the plan is so brilliant, it could only have come from God. And that at the end of this, no one ministry, no one denomination, no one group is going to get credit, because it's going to be obvious that it was God's hand in this. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't know how. And I don't think we're supposed to. I think there's, along this journey, my dad saw things, but even he didn't understand everything he saw. Obviously, a lot of it he didn't understand, or maybe he didn't articulate what he understood. I know he kept things to himself. So he didn't always share everything, even with us. Uh, there's that. But I did want to play you prophecy. Yes, $6.2 billion went missing from the Pentagon, lost it last Friday. And then Prigozhin marched on the Kremlin with his mercenary group, 25,000 troops to the Kremlin. They marched to the Kremlin. Everybody was like this. And then he got to the Kremlin and he laid down his sword and he said, everybody turn around and go home. The president, Belarus, takes him in. I don't know. It looks suspicious to me. But I mean, we don't have enough information to say definitively. It's just suspicious, right? They lose the money. The mercenary who's paid to fight marches on the Kremlin, and maybe he tricked them. Maybe he took the money and handed it to Putin. I don't know. Because he's supposed to be Putin's friend. And this is another thing about Prigozhin. So Putin's dad was Vladimir Lenin's chef, right? That's why he's Vladimir Putin. He was named after Lenin. And his dad was Lenin's chef. Well, this guy Prigozhin, I believe, was Putin's chef. And he also makes propaganda films. He's a filmmaker. So that's, I don't know, that whole thing was odd. It seemed like a big fake. Whatever they were doing, we were getting distracted, tricked, and I just don't like any of it. I feel like I saw a look in Putin that I hadn't seen before, and I'm definitely not a fan of his. Um, I know he says all the right things sometimes, and it sounds like he's on our side. He is not. He is not. He's clever, and he and Xi are doing is they keep trying to make him. They're highlighting all the bad things about America, which we're all worried about. So we're also worried about those things. So we're like, yeah, you're right. Doesn't make us friends. America is not in their interest. Russia is in their interest. So that's where they're going to be coming. They don't care what we do. They'll use us for their own gain. So it's, it is what it is. Either way, God will use who he uses to expose what needs to be exposed. And a lot has been exposed via Putin. I don't know how much is true. We will see. So moving on, I have one more thing to show you guys today. I didn't answer your question about Kari Lake, though. I feel very strongly that Kari Lake is the closest to the Esther. I have talked to Kari Lake and I have sent her that prophecy. I text messaged with her. I met her via a friend, and and I have her. I can text her if I need ever. I've never met her in person, but I did send her that prophecy when she was fighting the whole election thing in Arizona. I sent that to her, and she was very humble and just an incredible person. I really am. I'm a fan. So there's that. But here I have to play. I'm looking down because I've got my little dry erase board with my notes. You see, here we've taken care of Amanda Grace, and we've remembered the two Sauls and what she's prophesied, and we're looking at who do we want to be in the next administration that we feel would make everybody happy. Like if we could build the ideal administration, forget about political party, who do we trust? Who can we put where? I'd like to see RFK Jr. as head of the CIA so he can dismantle the organization that murdered his father and his uncle. Flynn definitely should. I think it'd be cool if he took care of the FBI because they entrapped him. So that would be a good vindication as well. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that. We only are given about an hour here, so I don't want to run out of time. So I'm just wondering if we should play this whole thing. Should we? Yeah, okay.
5 minutes.
It's 5 minutes long. I don't usually make my clips that long. But I'm looking at all last night and this past week. I've also been, and over the past 6 months, I've been watching what's going on in France because you've had a lot of resistance, protests. Now, you will have that in France. The French are the best at it. But there's a globalist agenda going on. Macron is definitely in with them. We know that, with the World Economic Forum lunatics and imposing ridiculous laws and all those little Hitlers that popped up. He's one of them during the COVID thing. Strange July, I believe, will be next year. Here, let me tell you something about the Strange July prophecy, and everybody keeps having a problem with this prophecy. Thinking, is this the year? Is this the year? Is this the year? Go back and watch that prophecy again. Because if you listen to the whole thing at the very beginning, or at some point in the beginning, my dad says he saw a volcanic eruption in a national park as a sign. So I think that we need to look for that because oftentimes when my dad would prophesy, God would show him something that would be indicative of the season because he was seeing a whole year. So he was seeing all the seasons of the year, and he saw a strange July, hypnotic November. That could very well be the election year of 2024. But I can't say that, because the one thing he said in that prophecy was a volcanic eruption in a national park as a sign. So as soon as we see that, and it wouldn't just excuse me, wouldn't just be some little event. I think it would have to be a big enough event to get everybody's attention, but probably not cause very much destruction, because it's a sign. It's not there's nothing going on. I mean, I'm just speculating. Dad prophesied that so long ago, and I never talked to him about it at the time, because a lot of the stuff he was prophesying then, we didn't know, and we knew we didn't know. We knew we would have to wait, just like I'm sitting here now with some of this stuff saying the same. For instance, Carrie Lake as the Esther. She has big, beautiful eyes. That's something he saw. Virtuous, a woman. And my dad was very specific about cartels will be afraid of a woman anointed by God, and that she would pour the oil of healing upon the scars of those left and those right. And they say we hated her, but now we love her. So to me, so far, I've looked at Stella Emanuel, I've looked at Amy Coney Barrett, Kaylee McEnany, but my necklaces are all tangled up. That's why I keep doing this. But when I look at Carrie Lake, I see those big, beautiful eyes, and I think she was right there in Arizona, in Maricopa County, where my dad prophesied 2 terms for Trump, where we've seen all the election trouble. There she was there, and that is a border state. So my dad seeing cartels being afraid of a woman, it would have to be a woman in charge of probably the border or something like that. So then you can look at Carrie Lake for our dream team in the White House. I'm going to tell you what I want. But I'm sure all of you are going to want it too. I don't think we're going to make it to this video today. We're not going to make it to the video. You know what? We could just repost it maybe on the YouTube channel, can we?
Yeah.
Okay. And Rumble. Is it? Okay. So if you're on YouTube or Rumble too? Is it on Rumble? If it's not on Rumble, we'll check and we'll put it up on Rumble for my Rumble friends. I'm so free in Rumble. I love it. YouTube, I'm still worried. Let's hope we don't lose it. Melania Trump, maybe, but she would have to be in a position where cartels would be afraid of her. You see, this is the things we can't forget in these prophecies, because those are very important. Like, who would be a woman that because he was very specific. He said cartels will be afraid of a woman anointed by God. So we know it's a woman, and we know she'd have to be in a position of authority enough that cartels would have a reason to be afraid of her, because what is she doing? So I think we've got Trump. We've got Flynn, my friend, General Flynn. We've got RFK Jr. and Carrie Lake. Those are the ones we like. Carrie Lake was a reporter. Thanks, Ben. Ben has just commented, said Carrie Lake was a reporter previously in Notman. That's right. I actually saw an interview with her yesterday where she talked about leaving that job, which was a well-paying job. Hawaiian volcano. I keep thinking about the Hawaii. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm getting distracted by these notes here, but you guys are giving me a lot of good information right now, and I want to hear what you think about our dream team in the White House. Strong in faith, virtuous, beautiful. Her eyes will be so round and big. I've crowned her. Shame. I would love it to be Melania, but I'm not sure. I think that's going to be. Kaylee also had big, beautiful eyes, and she's close to Trump and a strong Christian. But again, what position will she be in? Where would she be in where cartels would be afraid of her? This is something we have to remember. That's the thing that always gets me. With Amy Coney Barrett, I thought because she was on the Supreme Court, that seemed to me possibly. That's why I had looked at her, and I still haven't ruled her all the way out. But my understanding at the time that I did a Code Breakers on that and thought I'd found the Esther was pre-2020 election. That election changed everything for all of us, even me, and revealing that, I mean, look, go back, think about George W. Bush, think about old Bush. He was the head of the CIA. And something this is an aside. Sorry, my chest is a little today. This is an aside, but you know that in 2003, 2000, now I'm going to go conspiracy theory on you guys before I let you go today. I'm not playing you the prophecy, we're going into conspiracy theories. But it was so interesting. So I'm sure we've all read the Epic of Gilgamesh. If you haven't, you should. It's the oldest story, one of the oldest, or the oldest story we have. And many people say that Gilgamesh and Nimrod, as well as possibly Osiris, could be the same character. It's the same story, kind of told in through different cultures over thousands and thousands of years. The story might change a little bit. That's foundation. I don't know about that part. However, we know old George Bush was the head of the CIA. Then he became the president, and we had Operation Desert Storm, and all the stuff in the Middle East really started to hype up there. Next thing we get 9/11. Now, my dad sees 9/11 and prophesies it in 1996. 9/11 happens. And then they have the weapons of mass destruction, which we now know there weren't weapons of mass destruction. That was a lie, an excuse to go into Iraq. Now, the ancient word for Iraq is Uruk, which is in it's in the Epic of Gilgamesh. They claim, and there's a video out there of them opening this tomb, and you see this guy's not decayed at all. He looks, but he's dead, and he's in the gold, and he's in the. Have you guys seen this? I'm gonna look and see. Anybody's? I'm gonna. It takes a second. Oh, there's a little delay here. Not conspiracy, just theories. So apparently there was this huge thing going on. They were like digging around there in Iraq, saying there were weapons of mass destruction and all this. And they're saying, look, this is I don't know if this is true, but they're saying there's like they extracted DNA and did something with it. And the reason it got my attention is because I'm looking at the World Economic Forum people, Klaus and Harari and that lot, and even Elon Musk, and they're all going on about genetic editing. We can edit your genetics. I saw Elon Musk in an interview saying we could turn you into a butterfly if you want. So they figured out something with genetics, and then there's this. I don't know what it is. You guys can write to me and let me know what you think. If there's anything to that, them possibly finding, would it be maybe the remains of Nimrod? There was, there's the stories about the angels that came and lay with the women of earth and made the Nephilim giants. And you have stories of demigods. So you have that in the Bible where the sons of heaven came and lay with the women of earth and made the giants. And then you have the book of Enoch, which you can read separately from the Bible unless you're Ethiopian, then it's in your Bible. And, these beings were named. And then you go and you look at Greek history and you look at Greek mythology and the half humans, half animals, and you think, well, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be when the Son of Man returns. What was going on before the flood that had gone rampant through the earth was something to do with genetics. And then we have in our myths and our legends these, half human, half animals. And then nowadays, with the rediscovery, I think is what it is of DNA and the stuff going on. Well, not rediscovery, but the deeper understanding of it. Are we messing with God's code and his genetic code, which is the foundation of what makes us what we are? I think that to mess with that, you've got, they're growing organs off of rats, as well intended as they are, to be able to grow you an organ if you need it. I think there's a great danger there, maybe something we're not even completely aware of yet. So, and I think it's history repeating itself. And look, that's just what it looks like to me. I don't know, I'm not sure, but it looks that way. So, anyway, keep that in mind. Conspiracy theorist, cloning Nimrod and Osiris. See, you know that. Heather knows. Heather knows. Thank you, Heather. Yes, Ashley, the Book of Enoch was removed from our Bible about, oh, I can't remember. I don't know if it was 500 years after Christ or 500 years ago. I think it was 500 years ago. They removed the Book of Enoch from the Bible, but the Ethiopians did not. So you can read the Book of Enoch and just, you should decide for yourself. Just reading here. Aligning God's clock with man's clock. Thank you, Joanne. That's good. My dad did prophesy about the two clocks. VP will be a shock to the world. Amanda Grace. Well, again, we have to go back to, we must remember about this Esther prophecy, that cartels would be afraid of a woman. And I do believe that's going to be a position in the administration. Yeah, I've actually got to go, you guys. I'm going to run out of time. We got a timer on this thing. It'll cut me off. I could be mid-sentence. It's just going to cut me off. So I better say goodbye. Okay, so I didn't share the prophecy, but you guys have probably seen it before if you haven't. Yeah, on YouTube. If you go on the YouTube channel, just search France. Also on Rumble. And you'll find it. I might just repost it. We should just repost it today. We're just going to repost it, okay? So just look in the next hour or so. Have a look on Rumble, Kim Clement Rumble or Kim Clement YouTube, and we'll put it up. And you guys have a look, and then we can talk about it next week. Let's watch France this week. How about that? Everybody watch what's going on in France. It's been going on for months. They keep protesting and protesting different things, but there's an overall resistance to the globalist agenda. I believe that's what it is. I think that's what my dad was seeing. So have a look at this prophecy. We'll put it up. It's France. You're looking for Kim Clement prophesying about France, and I think it was 2010 was the year. It was 2010. So have a look at that. He prophesies about the rise and fall of the Fourth Reich. He talks about a real war, a short war. He saw a Muslim, the way the French overcame an invasion of the Middle East, not Muslim, of the Middle East in the 7th century. And I remember Dad, when he prophesied it, he came off the platform and he said to my mother, what happened in France with the invasion, with the Middle East in the 7th century? He had no idea. It turned out it was right, but he didn't know. So that was really from God. It was pretty spectacular, that. So you need to watch that prophecy, and then when we come back next week, we will review that. How about we do it that way? And so anyway, I'm done for today. Remember Ecclesiastes 3:11. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Remember that. And then also this week, Israel Update today on the House of Destiny Network. Don't miss it. That's with Christy Desfontaine and Duby Sabo, who's on the ground in Israel. He gives us an update every week from the ground in Israel. So no need to worry about media filter. It's our friend Duby telling us what he's seeing over there. So you must go to Israel Update every Friday at the House of Destiny Network. Tomorrow, our interview with Amanda Grace. You don't want to miss it. We already filmed it, but we're going to air it tomorrow. And it was her first time to leave the country and her first time to go to Israel. And so we had a lovely conversation. So go to the House of Destiny Network either late tonight or tomorrow morning or whenever this weekend and have a look at that interview. And then we also have a new show coming up, the House of Destiny Network. It's going to go up on Tuesdays, and it's called Real Life, Real Faith. So do have a look at that, because that's going to be coming up pretty. I'm not sure when, but keep your eye out for that. Prophetic Rewind is on Mondays. I'm always sharing something. I've got 40 years of footage of my dad, and I share something every week. And it's something I pray about. This is a particular thing that needs to be shared this week. And I've been doing this for 7 years. So you can go back and back and back on Prophetic Rewind and watch the older stuff, or just watch what I'm releasing every week. There's an email. You can become a part of that email list there, and I send an email along with that video when we post it every week. So that's the other thing, email addresses. We do ask everybody, if you're following us on YouTube and Rumble, if you're following those, that's good, but it's always possible that this YouTube channel could be taken from us. We make them mad often. So do go to the House of Destiny Network and put in, you can create a login and become a member of the church, the online church. We have a service every Wednesday, by the way, and Jackson Lawmeyer is going to be going to be preaching on our Wednesdays. I think next month or the month that we're scheduling it now. But if you don't know who Jackson Lawmeyer is, you will. You must have a look. We love him. And I think that's everything. But do give your email address, just because the login, if you create that login, it's free and it gives us your email address. And then if you don't want the emails, you can unsubscribe. But that way, if anything happened to our YouTube channel, we would be able to reach you. And you can always watch everything at the House of Destiny Network on our own platform, which is uncensored. We have a prayer wall. We have a church service every Wednesday. We have something coming out every day of the week. And this is something my mom and dad built over 40 years. And I am just helping Mama run it. So do go over there and have a look. And you can download the app too. It's on the App Store. Search House of Destiny. That's Kim Clements, House of Destiny. But just search House of Destiny in the App Store, and you can download the app. It has the prophecy database in it too. So is that everything? Oh, my pillow. You guys, remember I told you, do I have time? Okay. Remember I told you I embarrassed myself meeting Mike Lindell. Totally embarrassed myself because I didn't know he walked up on me and I went, oh, Mike Lindell. And I grabbed it. He doesn't even know who I am. So then I was embarrassed. I didn't know what to do. He's looking at me weird. I started dusting off his suit, which made it even worse. Anyway, Clay Clark introduced me to him yesterday because we've started a sponsorship and partnership with My Pillow. So if you go to My Pillow and use the promo code Kim Clement, all one word, you will get a massive discount. It's big discounts on lots of things, but when you do that, you are supporting us and you are supporting a Christian in the marketplace in Mike Lindell. And I'm going to talk to him today for the first time. He's supposed to call me today. I'm super nervous, but I'm excited to meet him. So we're doing this just to help us keep this running. You know, we want to be able to bring you these prophecies, and it takes a lot of work. We're a small staff and a small little group of people, but it takes a lot of work. And so this really helps us out to be able to do some of the things we're wanting to do. I'm building the legacy of my dad. I've been working on this for years. How am I going to do this? And it's sort of been pretty painstaking, the waiting, a lot of waiting. But we are accumulating all the prophecies, and we've got all kinds of ideas of things that we're going to do to make it more accessible. So when let's say you want to buy towels, don't go to Bed Bath & Beyond. Don't go to Target. Go to My Pillow. You'll get an 80% discount if you use the promo code Kim Clement. And then you help us and you help Mike. And we need to help Mike. He's going to have another symposium, I think next month, the 16th of August, which was my grandmother's birthday and is my sister's birthday. It's an important day. And he's going to have another symposium. And so we are supportive of people who are searching for the truth. And he's definitely one who is. So do use the Kim Clement promo code at My Pillow to get yourself the towels and sheets you might have bought at Target. We're not giving them our business anymore. We're giving it to Mike Lindell. Okay. I love you all. I'll see you next week. We'll talk about France and whatever happens this week, too.
My name is Jane Clement, and I am the president of the House of Destiny Network.
My name is Donna Clement Petrushka, and I am the vice president of the House of Destiny Network. My dad used to have a thing called $5 in your face offering. And he did that because he understood that sometimes people might be sitting there saying, well, I only have a little bit to give. But I often use the analogy of a car engine. You know, everybody feels like maybe they're not too important, or maybe their little part they're playing is small, or what can I do as I see these things going on around me? And you may think that that's a little bit, but it's a huge amount when we come together and support one another. And so just as little as $5 can help us with our missions. It can help us with just keeping these prophecies, all these prophecies that came through my dad, coming to you. And it takes quite a bit to be able to find it and edit it and present it. And so there's a whole staff of people that work very, very hard to make sure that we can get this information to you. And it is vital in this season because of what was prophesied. And so, again, you may feel that $5 is not much, but it's something. And then you are a part of something and a part of doing something where you may feel like it's, you know, there's nothing you can do. There is something you can do. You can support the people who God has put at the front lines, who are actively making a difference.
I first met Kim in 1978. The price of gold back then was $200 an ounce. Today, it's gone up to $2,000 an ounce.
I can tell you inflation is a real thing because in a very short period of time, just living in the state of Tennessee, I had moved from California. I could see the difference when I moved here, just in the grocery store, and since 2020, the way prices have risen, it's not much different than when I lived in California now.
To schedule a consultation with Beverly Hills Precious Metals, go to bh-pm.com and make an appointment today.
One thing about Mike Lindell, and this is going back to many, many years, we like to support people like him because, number one, he's a Christian in the marketplace, which is something that my dad not only prophesied a lot about, but really truly believed in. And so for many years, our ministry has supported Mike Lindell for being a Christian, but also supporting one another. It makes us stronger against those big tech people who are backed by billions of dollars, that together we can make a difference and get a message out there.
By using the promo code Kim Clement, you're not only supporting Mike Lindell, but you're also helping us reach the unreachable, touch the untouchable, and reach the world with the gospel.
This was sacred to God.
Now is the time to act.
This is exactly why I need some action from my people.
Hello, everybody. It's an honor to be with you.
Over 40 years ago, Kim and I embarked on a ministry journey that has now become a global network through the power of the internet. As part of this pioneering work, we are gathering people from all over the world to worship together, grow in our faith, and inspire hope through an uplifting message. We are dedicated to reaching out with God's message of hope and love to all without discrimination or judgment. We invite you to join our House of Destiny free membership that allows you to connect with members from around the world. Through our prayer wall, you can post your requests and have others join us in prayer. It's so powerful when the saints gather and believe for a breakthrough. We invite you to join today. Simply click the online church login and sign up. Partnerships are vital to our global outreach, enabling us to take the love and hope of Jesus Christ to those who need it most. Our Boots on the Ground Partnership Program physically ministers to those in desperate situations all over the world. The Israel Partnership furthers Kim's legacy of outreach to Israel and Jewish people worldwide. We invite you to become a partner today. We are here for you, and we have worked hard to provide the resources and tools to help you grow in your faith. Join us today and be part of a community that inspires hope, brings restoration to life, and often healing from the past. Together, we can make a difference, and we thank you for your ongoing support.